The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie.
Shock and horror during the morning drop-off. A student hit and killed in an accident in a school parking lot.
And a much colder and gray day today. We'll talk about your weekend forecast in First Warning Weather.
We know that teachers are the single most important in-school factor that impacts student outcomes. And we have to be pretty relentless in our efforts to try to support them.
And that's the head of the Texas Education Agency talking about a steep increase in Texas teachers leaving. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jennifer Sanders.
I'm Daniel Muddy. More than 20% of teachers are entering schools with no certification, and salary increases are not keeping up with inflation. These are just a few of the challenges described in the long-anticipated report from the Teacher Vacancy Task Force.
And the governor created the task force last year. Investigator Kelly Wiley joins us in the studio with, Kelly, a closer look at those 20 recommendations laid out in that report.
Yeah, it looked at salary, discipline, and healthcare costs for teachers. The task force is recommending the legislature raise the amount of dollars districts get per student, but that hasn't happened since 2019. They want TEA to help school districts set up their salary schedules to account for experienced, high-performing educators. The task force is also asking the legislature to reduce the cost of health insurance for teachers. One recommendation that we've already seen lawmakers take interest in is how much it costs for districts to hire back experienced teachers who've retired. Right now, if districts do it, they have to pay for retirees' pensions and other costs. They're asking the state to help pay that amount until they can get the teacher shortage under control. The top Texas education official in the state, Commissioner Mike Morath, sat down with us in an exclusive television interview where we asked him about the future of education in Texas. In your opinion, if the rate of teachers continues like this, leaving the field, what will education look like in Texas if we continue to see teachers leave the profession at this rate?
Yeah, the trend has been, this is not a new trend. This has been a 30-year trend, and this is not specific to Texas. This is education in the United States. The teacher that you were most likely to run into in 1985 had 10 years of experience. So if you think about the distribution of teachers by years of experience, the experience base you were most likely to run into had 10 years of experience. For about the last decade, the teacher that you were most likely to run into was in his or her first year.
Education advocates are responding today to this report. The Texas AFT president said this in a statement: the legislature has a mandate and a duty to act by increasing the basic allotment, raising teacher and school staff pay across the board, and making serious quality of life improvements to the day-to-day operation of our schools. You can read all 20 of those recommendations as posted on our website at KXAN.com.
All right, Kelly, thank you very much. And there are currently 235 vacant teaching positions at Austin ISD right now. That's more than there were at the end of August, right before the start of the school year. The biggest need is for elementary age bilingual and English as a second language teachers, with 96 vacancies across the district. The second biggest is for special ed teachers, with 64 openings across all school levels. And the school most in need of teachers, well, that is Aikens High School, with 9 empty teaching positions. This is after an incentive effort by AISD to draw in more teachers, which included sign-on bonuses and additional stipends.
And we do have some heartbreaking news tonight. An 11-year-old student at Goodnight Middle School in San Marcos is dead after being hit by a vehicle during morning drop-off. This all happened in the school's parking lot this morning. No charges are expected. The school, though, did cancel classes and move students to the nearby high school activity center for pickup. The school district says secondary counselors are on site right now to help students as well as staff.
First Warning Weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, take a look at this snow coming down, not in the mountains, but in the Bay Area, San Francisco. This is video from Colfax, Cloverdale, and Livermore, California, just east of San Francisco proper. The National Weather Service San Francisco office calling this historic to have snow like this at such a low elevation. Hail was also reported in the Bay Area. And take a look at these road conditions. This was up in Portland, Oregon. You see that driver there? They were traveling under a bridge, hit a layer of black ice, spun out, and hit other vehicles vehicles that were already sitting on the side of the road. Nearly 11 inches of snow have fallen in the city of Portland in the past couple of days. And finally, we too getting in on some of this cold air that we've been talking about for days. This is the comparison of temperatures now to where they were 24 hours ago. As predicted, it's 15, 20 plus degrees colder than it was yesterday at this time. That means 40s from Mason out to Burnett, 54 in Austin, and 54 as well up the road in Rockdale. Live outside, it's also gray with a bit of a north breeze adding to the chill. Live in northwest Austin, cloudy but dry. We do have a couple little spots of drizzle showing up on the radar. This is a 10% chance of a few drops on the windshield. Not expecting much more than that this evening, nor overnight tonight. Coming up, a gradual weekend warm-up. I'll show you when the temperatures rise, when sunshine returns, and near record heat as we wrap up February.
All right, David, thank you. 1 year ago today, Russian soldiers launched the war in Ukraine.
And as the U.S. announces billions more in military aid for Ukraine, former Vice President Mike Pence was at UT Austin today, arguing the U.S. should continue that support. Ryan Chandler joins us from the Texas Capitol, where Ukrainians rallied all day. Ryan.
Well, Daniel, that's right. Outside the Texas Capitol today, I spoke with Ukrainian citizens turned refugees, now seeking safety in Austin after fleeing Russian attacks in their own neighborhoods. They're called.
The first months of the war, I was living in the basement, and yes, it was horrible to hear like missiles and everything. It was really scary.
It's been 6 months since Maria Melnichenko fled the air raid sirens. A former TV journalist, Maria fled to Poland, then to Spain, finally finding safe harbor in Austin, one of the millions torn from their families at just 25.
It was difficult to leave my job, to leave my previous life, and still I have my grandparents, my parents, my friends. They're still in Ukraine, so like the whole life is still in Ukraine.
Daria Ledesma began the day with gratitude, fearing the worst for her family, who stayed behind to volunteer for their army.
I have my mom in Ukraine, I have my sister, my niece, I have my aunts and uncles, and I woke up and I saw that there were no bombings today, so it was a big relief in the morning because I was really scared to what I'm going to see on my phone.
Just a mile away, former Vice President Mike Pence pledging bipartisan support for their cause.
And I submit to you, the fastest path to peace is to help Ukraine win the war.
A promise to those who see it not as charity, but as solidarity with those who call Texas home for now.
This is an investment. Help for Ukraine is an investment in our peace, in our world security, in the security of all countries, that they won't have to go into war.
Now you can see there's another group who has begun a separate rally for peace. They'll be here till 6:30, and they invite any Texan who stands with Ukraine to stand with them. Daniel, Jen.
My husband's like, where the hell were you? Oh my God, I was in traffic, literally.
Pandemic traffic relief is over, and there's new evidence that drivers looking to escape the gridlock on I-35 are taking a new route.
And the pandemic led to the lifting of some liquor to go restrictions. Now a new bill in Texas would make some of those pre-mixed cocktails available in more stores.
Plus, UT Austin made big news this week, pausing new diversity policies, and that's left some in higher education with new questions. We'll hear from the UT Systems chairman and a professor. There's a new push to let you buy more types of booze at the grocery store. A Republican state representative from Rockwall has filed a bill to allow grocery and convenience stores to sell pre-mixed, ready-to-drink cocktails and seltzers. Now, right now, the stores can sell beer, wine, and malt beverages as long as they're under 17% alcohol by volume. But anything spirit-based can only be sold at one of the state's 3,200 liquor stores. Right now, 25 states allow spirit-based pre-mixed cocktails to be sold alongside wine and beer.
Earlier this month, there was a close call at Austin's airport between a Southwest plane cleared to take off and a FedEx plane cleared to land on the same runway. And now Tom Costello says it happened yet again at another airport.
The FAA is investigating yet another close call, this one at Burbank Airport in the greater Los Angeles area. It's now the fourth close call on the nation's runways so far this year. In this case, one plane was coming in for a landing as another plane was cleared for takeoff. The FAA chief has already issued a call to safety, a call to action nationwide with a summit in Washington set for next month. And now the NTSB chief is also weighing in, saying she too is concerned about what's happening in cockpits and in control towers. We're going to hear from her, go in depth on this on NBC Nightly News.
Well, high temperatures today, much cooler than normal, only reaching 57 in town and at the airport. Interesting thing was, this wasn't at 4 p.m. like we might usually see. It happened at 1 o'clock this morning. Temperatures stayed cooler than that all day. Your first warning forecast for the weekend after this.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
Drivers looking to avoid I-35 through downtown Austin are taking SH-130 more than ever.
And KXAN traffic anchor Erica Brennis shows us how much busier it's gotten.
It's horrible. It's really horrible getting to work. If I told you Vanessa is referring to Austin area traffic, you wouldn't be surprised, right? But what if I told you she's referring to traffic in Hutto on SH-130? My average, I'll say 30 minutes, and then when I get back, like say at the end of the day, I have to say like an hour. Yesterday, I took an hour to get home. Many days during the morning and evening commute, that traffic is bumper to bumper on SH-130 right through Hutto.
A lot of people have moved in this area, so the traffic is getting worse and worse on 130. Only get on there real early in the morning or real late in the evening. When I say late in the evening, I'm talking about 7 or 8 o'clock. But most of the 130 miles of SH-130 flows pretty smoothly, and it seems drivers are noticing.
The passenger and heavy truck traffic along the southern part of SH-130 was up 17% year over year for 2022, which is another all-time high.
James Lovett is with SH-130 Concession Co., which operates and maintains the southern section of SH-130 from southeast Travis County to just east of San Antonio.
Transactions are up nearly 50%. So a lot of growth in our traffic, and much of that can be attributed to the development that's happening in the corridor.
At the intersection of SH-130 and 142 in Lockhart, the growth, it's significant, with new developments underway, new housing projects, and construction of a 75-acre industrial park. There's a lot more people out and about in this area.
One of the benefits for why they're setting up shop specifically along SH-130 is reliability. They are looking for predictability in delivery times, and so having that access, we're a congestion-free route, which is much different than I-35.
Erica Brennis, KXAN News.
And despite the increase in traffic, Lovett says the number of crashes on the southern portion of 130 is lower than the state average for similar-sized highways, with 30 crashes reported per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. And FYI, to travel the entire 130-mile stretch of SH-130, it will cost you $16.34.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, sure, it's chilly today, but remember, it has been a top 20 warmest winter on record to this point in Central Texas, and the bluebonnets are popping up early. Thank you to Dale Beulah for sending in this beautiful photo from a bluebonnet in Austin. Always welcome your photos at reportit@KXAN.com. Bluebonnets might be a little confused, though. It is not spring or summer yet. Temperatures not in the future, but in the past. They have bumbled around the lower and mid-50s ever since the sun came up this morning, and it's still a chilly afternoon out there in the wake of the recent front. Gray skies, 54 degrees on the Austonian weather cam, 51 up in Georgetown. It hasn't escaped the 40s in parts of the northern hill country. Lampasas, for instance, at 46 now. Mold is up on our hour-by-hour pollen count equipment. Ash is staying low and even lower than it has been. A couple other things, including oak, also luckily trending downward. Look at the sharp cold front. It's 87 in Laredo, 54 behind it here in Austin. Thankfully, this freezing cold air up in Oklahoma City does not have any intentions of coming here. Let me show you how the temperatures really do another 180 over the weekend. Here we are this evening with light north winds and cloudy skies. Temperatures drop a few more degrees down to the upper 40s north and west of Austin by 10 o'clock. 50s from Austin southeastward late this evening. Tomorrow morning, the light north winds slacken up, and that deck of clouds acting like the blanket on your bed keeps some of the heat in. So again, nobody going anywhere near freezing tonight, but it will be a chilly start to the day tomorrow. Here's where things get interesting. The north wind does a 180 as the cold front reverses course as a warm front. How far does it make it? That's still kind of a question, but I think this is a good representation, showing temperatures in the 70s southeast and maybe some 60s returning to the Austin metro. This is tomorrow afternoon. The front kind of hesitates, backs up a little bit with some thick fog forming on Sunday morning. Then we have higher confidence in a very warm day on Sunday. Gusty south winds boot that warm front way up to our north, and that plus some sunshine finally returning means highs on Sunday near 80 degrees. The sun doesn't come out immediately, and this is why. The same storm system that brought some low elevation snow to the Bay Area that we just showed you, it will continue sending some clouds and moisture our way. Just not much measurable rain at all coming from this, but it tries to plow into us early next week. As it tries to do so, though, Sunday, a big blocking ridge of high pressure sets up over the Gulf, and that just kind of bounces that storm right on out of here. That means just another glancing blow, as we've seen so many of recently. Rainfall totals not just tonight, but all the way through that impact Monday morning, really quite slim. I think many of us will see no measurable rain at all. Tonight, it is possible that you see a little light drizzle, only a 10% chance, not really measurable amount, 48 degrees with light north winds. Tomorrow, those winds start to change direction late, plus some breaks of sun. I think we could be in the upper 60s tomorrow afternoon, much warmer than today. The real warm weather, though, is still to come. 80 degrees Sunday, 81 on Monday. Aside from that glancing blow and a slight chance of rain late Sunday into early Monday, calm, warm weather to wrap up meteorological winter. The last day of February on Tuesday features near record warmth, sunshine, and highs of 87.
All right, David, thank you. Pressing pause on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Just ahead, reaction to UT's decision this week. This week, the entire University of Texas system paused any new diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in hiring. So this goes for all of its 13 campuses, including UT Austin.
Governor Abbott believes DEI practices violate the law. Sophia Beausoleil has reaction from the UT system chairman and a professor.
At the state capitol, diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, has become a hot topic after Governor Greg Abbott's office sent out a letter telling state agencies and public universities to stop DEI practices in hiring, claiming it violates state and federal discrimination laws.
Given the clear legislative focus, we have paused any new DEI policies on our campuses.
Along with halting new DEI policies, the chairman for the University of Texas system says they will also review current policies at all 13 campuses and will implement any new legislation lawmakers put in place.
In recent times, certain DEI efforts have strayed from the original intent to now imposing requirements and actions that rightfully so has raised the concerns of our policymakers.
The Board of Regents didn't give any specifics or examples, leaving many questions for those in higher public education, like Jandel Crutchfield, an assistant professor at UT Arlington. She says research shows DEI is more helpful than harmful and would like to know what policies have been misused.
I think it's really important to distinguish between the policy itself and individuals that are misusing the policy for whatever their motives might be. And so I hope that that remains pure and clear, because any policy can be misused by any individual.
Those who support DEI say it's been mischaracterized, and diversity, equity, and inclusion is meant to bring all people in all settings to the table.
The question is that DEI asks us to do is say who's missing from the conversation. And so oftentimes that has been underrepresented groups in terms of race, in terms of gender, religion, language, sexual orientation. And
Jandel says the goal of these policies is not to exclude, rather include people from all backgrounds to add different perspectives and ideas.
And that was Sophia Beausoleil reporting for us. The Texas Legislative Black Caucus, Mexican American Legislative Caucus, and other organizations have been vocal against the governor's directive, calling it a political stunt. They say that they will press the issue.
Thanks for listening to KXAN News Nightly. You can also listen to KXAN News Today every morning for more in-depth coverage of what matters most to you.